Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers show on the SteelerFury.com podcast. I am your host and a misanthrope, Wil Masisak, a.k.a. Bradshaw to Ben, also known as Accidental Zen on Twitter. And I have with me the usual array of cohorts from deep in the heart of Indianapolis, Indiana, and milk country. His name is Jeremy Kohlman. He's with us. How are you, sir?
Doing good.
Yeah, and from Pittsburgh suburban area 22 or 23, he goes back and forth. His name is SteelPerch. He's with us. How are you, sir?
Present.
And from somewhere in the land where Sam Howell is under 6 feet, his name is Dom. He goes by FC. He's with us. How are you, sir?
Trying to figure out what the fuck a misanthrope is.
There's one in every crowd, and if you don't know who it is, it's you. That's basically how that works. You may be one, actually. Pretty sure, positively. Speaking of misanthropes, I turned into one watching the Steelers play football again. I don't know. I'm going to go to you first, FC. Help me try to understand what's going on because my head hurts.
My head hurts as well, and I am not real certain. I'm certain what's going on. What I'm not certain of is why it continues to go on. Do the Steelers do any self-scouting? Because if anybody ever has the opportunity to watch a wide view, you can see a lot of what the Steelers' problems are offensively. The offensive line's pretty bad, and whenever they do hold up the route combinations, and the way the receivers are running routes is pretty bad whenever the routes that are called are decent. So it's offensively it's a clusterfuck. Defensively, the only thing I wish that could happen is teams they get healthy. I think defensively they could be fine. They could be good. It's just they need to get healthy, and they need some younger players to make some plays.
Yeah, I don't know, Jeremy. You got any theories on what we're seeing? Like, what are we seeing? What is this horror that presents itself on Sunday afternoons?
We are literally watching the definition of insanity. We keep trying the same stuff and keep expecting different results. We're watching insanity on offense on Sundays.
Well, if I was watching myself, I know I would be watching insanity because I continue to watch them expecting different results.
Oh, me too. I'm just as guilty.
Perch, I leave it to you. I know you'll have something brilliant on this.
Well, when a lack of talent meets injury bug, coupled with incompetent coordination and coaching, add in a mix of 39-year-old quarterback, and the result is a 1-3 record. I mean, it's not one thing. I mean, we just talked about this offline before the podcast started, and we've talked about it for a while now. How many years have we sat here bitching about the team never playing rookies and how they rot on the bench, and then we kind of made light of it earlier in the season or before the season started. Like, boy, they've got 6 or 7 rookies who are going to play significant time, and you almost have to grab the program and figure out who some of the guys are that are on the field. They just, teams in the NFL is a parity league, and you're not meant to go and have a winning record for 17 straight years. You're just not. Drafting at the bottom, picking in the 20s and in low 30s for 17 years in a row, your depth is going to get worn down. Nobody expected DeCastro to basically have a career-ending injury and Pouncey to retire, and the whole offensive, and you mix in the salary cap hell, and you weren't able to keep some other good players like Mike Hilton and a couple of the offensive linemen who maybe at least could have stuck around to keep some continuity. It's just a perfect storm. But the thing that could be corrected, or the thing that pisses you off the most, is what you guys all just touched on, the insanity of using the same plays and just the schematic issues and failing to go for it, or even attempting to give your team a chance on 4th down is what's maddening.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent the entirety of the last 2 or 3 shows talking about basically the same thing. Actually, the most remarkable thing about this season is that this team beat Buffalo. In Buffalo, it's like I think Buffalo, maybe they weren't perfect in that game, but they played pretty well. It's like it wasn't as if they handed it to the Steelers on a silver platter. It was like they maybe didn't play their best game, but the Steelers beat them and convincingly, So it just like I guess the question, Perch, I'll go back to you. Do you think we're crazy for thinking that there is still a possibility that they get back to more of the form they played in week 1, which may or may not be good enough, but at least it feels better than the last 3 weeks?
Well, the depth was just so thin. I mean, they won week 1 because they dominated on defense, right? And now 2/3 of your defensive line is possibly out for the entire year. I mean, from what we're hearing locally about Tuitt is he's not in the building. They don't know when he's coming back, if he's coming back. I mean, it's no time soon. And then, both your edge rushers are dinged, so they're not 100% if they are playing. The team didn't have depth, and that's the issue on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I mean, there's nothing they can do with the group of talent that they have to be a team that's average. They can't score 24 points a game the rest of the year. It's just not who they are. If they're going to win ball games, they're going to have to hold opponents under 20 and hope to win 17-16 or something like that, or 20, squeak out 20 and win 20-17. That's what the formula has to be. Basically what it was in Buffalo. And even that game took a blocked punt to win the game.
Yeah, Jeremy, you're doing a show based out of Denver. I don't know if that means you get any kind of like Denver information, but you're muted, I think. But I guess the question I have is what quarterback situation might we face? Like, do they have sort of some trials and tribulations with injuries, or are we pretty much going to get their primary effort?
I think we're going to see Teddy Bridgewater come Sunday. He didn't practice Wednesday. I'm looking at the report right now, put in a light practice today. At the end of the day, it sounded like he was going to get in a full practice tomorrow. So I'd be surprised if we don't see Teddy Bridgewater at this point. It looks like he kind of avoided a more severe concussion this time, when that's been a problem with him in the past. So we'll see, how he looks on Sunday, but that looks like we're going to be playing Bridgewater come Sunday.
I gotcha. FC, speaking of Tuitt and the fact that he may or may not be in the building and may or may not be coming back, it sounds like Zach Banner he thinks he's ready to play. He said it's just about the coaches and the team at this point allowing him to play. I know you said, I think it was last week, that you might not be in such a hurry to insert him in the lineup. You're not convinced that he's an improvement. Do you still feel that way after watching this last weekend? Do you think that's a possible thing to do to at least change things up a little bit?
I think Joe Haig was that bad. The Steelers need to get their 5 best offensive linemen on the field. If Zach Banner is one of them, Zach Banner should start. I have never been a fan, and I've never been impressed with Zach Banner. Maybe he'll come in and prove me wrong, but something needs to change. The Steelers need to blow up their offense. There's no other way around it. So, do I think a single personnel player or shuffling the pieces is going to make a big difference? I honestly don't.
Yeah, I mean, Perch, the Matt Canada thing, like, okay, we can't separate entirely, Ben's culpability, especially because Ben looked injured to me, not just timid, like maybe he did the week before, but Ben looked, rather than reluctant to throw, it looked like he was having problems actually driving through his legs, which is not a shock considering the fact that he's been hit so much or whatever. But I don't know. You quarterback, offensive coordinator, I don't care which one's at fault. How do they fix this?
Well, I just don't, I hate to say the same thing every week. I don't think it's fixable. What's the option? The only option is to go back to the quick passing game and get the ball out in 0.2 seconds and throw your 3-yard outs and hope to be perfect to go all the way down the field to get points. That's it. I mean, the offensive line isn't going to get to the point this year where they can move bodies. They're not going to get to the point where they can protect Ben. I mean, I think 90% of the issue with Ben is he's not stepping and not driving because he doesn't have confidence in the line, and that's why he's missing eyes. I don't think his arm's shot. I really don't think that's the problem. I don't think that's the reason he's not throwing it downfield well, and why he's missing open guys, and why he's even missing short passes. I think it's that he's got no confidence in that line, and he doesn't want to get hit because he's 39 years old and he's beat up. So, maybe you take that and say, well, hey, the guy shouldn't be playing anymore. Listen, we knew what the hell we were getting coming in this year with Ben. It was going to be a 39-year-old guy. This is his farewell tour. This was it. In order for them to win, you needed the Peyton Manning in Denver, John Elway in Denver, perfect team built around him with a stud defense, a great offensive line, and a good running game. They went out and they got the running back. The offensive line isn't there, and the coordinator isn't there. So it's just going to be a train wreck. We just got to deal with it. How they fix it, I just don't think it's fixable. With what they have, it's not going to come together this year. I can't see it.
Jeremy, I feel like that thing about Ben not, trusting his offensive line. More specifically, I feel like it's if your interior offensive line pass protects pretty well most of the time, and once in a while a guy comes free or a guy makes pressure in the inside, then as a quarterback, I can react to that and I can get out of there. If you're not sure they're ever going to block everybody on the interior on every pass play, that's got to make you feel reluctant to step up, to be able to, move around in the pocket a little bit. That's what I see. Do you see something different in terms of that reluctance to step up from what Perch said or I said?
No, I mean, Perch said it best. He's 39 years old. He can't move, and he's getting drilled every single week. I mean, there's only so much a person can take of that before they start adjusting their style of play so they don't get hurt week in and week out. So, and then just I feel like Ben is trapped in this offense right now, too. I was reading an article earlier in the week where apparently he only has the authority to audible out of plays like 50% of the time or something like that. They're so determined to make this offense work for Matt Canada, they're not even letting Ben check out of plays at the line right now. It's just the dumbest shit.
It's like, it's an audition year for Matt Canada. Like, do we want to keep him going forward or whatever? But I mean, FC, I feel like it should be an audition year for whoever, gave the green light to that plan.
Right. You actually hit the nail on the head. I agree with everything Kurt said. Don't get me wrong, Ben's 39, and you can just tell that the heart says yes, the mind saying no at this time to step in and make some throws. But when you look at the offensive line, especially the last 2 weeks, issue really, Campbell Juniors. How about this? The two rookies, I actually have a ton of faith in. Trey Turner and Goff have been horrible in pass pro. I mean, horrible. Goff been ill the last 2 weeks. And I thought Joe Haig was actually solid at right tackle. A little bit more than solid. I think that Haig should keep the right tackle job until he loses it. But, whenever you got 4th down and 2, 4th down and 3, and you've thrown the ball 5 times and you've thrown the ball behind the line of scrimmage 5 times, in that situation tells me that self-scouting, I mean, Tomlin, if I'm Ernie, I'd say you really can't fire Matt Canada because I don't know who the offensive brain trust would turn to. There is nobody to coordinate the offense. There is no one that has that on their resume at all. There is no one
they got to go outside. I hate to cut in, but man, they got to go outside the organization. This organization, the coaching staff is.
You want to switch from Canada right now? Who do you switch to?
Yeah, I mean, within the season, no, but
right.
Even with the O-line coach, everything they do is promote from within. They don't go out and get fresh blood. It's just like this inbred clusterfuck of coaching where
to hire Brian Schottenheimer, and people want to bring me up as our offensive coordinator. One thing I know Brian Schottenheimer can do is call plays.
Yeah, at this point, I think you mainly just need someone who can call plays. It's more important than building a whole offense or changing the structure or anything like that. Just have somebody that can call plays, really. But I don't know. It feels like, Jeremy, it feels like that what Canada is doing so closely resembles what we saw last year. And furthermore, people are complaining about, the reluctance to throw the ball in the middle of the field. I was reading a thing yesterday about how one of the reasons Matt Canada lost his job at North Carolina State is because, quote, he was reluctant to call pass plays in the middle of the field. So, maybe Matt Canada got hired because of his reluctance to call pass plays in the middle of the field. What do you think of that?
I think it's pretty ironic considering he's having the same issues at the NFL level. His offense just doesn't work at the NFL level. It works okay in college. He made Maryland look okay there for a little stint, but it's just not working here.
Yeah, I feel like Perch, they saw that one game that Pitt, had when he was the offense coordinator there, where they did all kinds of, trickeration and ball movement and totally got the defense, off balance the whole game. Kevin Colbert must have been at that game, and now they feel like, that's the guy, their exciting offensive mind that they're bringing in.
Yeah, I think the technical term with it is basically what we're seeing right now is a dick measuring contest. That's the technical term. You guys can look up somewhere else. But to have the balls to come into this organization and tell Ben, you can't change plays at the line. And I honestly think, passive aggressive Ben, all these passes behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 4th and medium or long are big FUs because the play call that came in is shit. It doesn't match up to what the defense is doing. And he's been told, hey, you can't check out of it. This is my play. I'm the genius offensive coordinator who's bounced around in college football and somehow miraculously landed this job. That's kind of what's going on. You can kind of tell it's starting to leak through the media. You could tell by Ben's passive aggressive comments. You could tell about, Matt Canada was interviewed here locally today. It basically took blame for, a lot of what's going on in the offense and tried to walk back some of the things where, there isn't audibles. But even what he said was, they're trying to get an understanding between him and Ben. Basically, could you imagine this happening to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or, Aaron Rodgers? Hey, you can't audible out of shit anymore. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, it negates the advantage that you have. That's the one thing with the 39-year-old quarterback that you have is a guy who understands how to change the play call and makes, chicken salad out of chicken shit. FC, I don't know. Do you feel like there's a possibility? I'm just going to throw this out there. A lot of casual fans who I thought were out of their minds were saying last year that one of the reasons that the Steelers didn't run enough last year is because Ben changed out of the play call. He had too much power over play calling. Do you think there's a possibility that ownership, because we know that's where really the ideas come down from in terms of the thinking for the team, do you think there's a possibility that ownership listened to that and said, well, what we need to do is force him to run the plays that are called so that he doesn't just, take the ball and do Ben things?
I don't think that the Rudy's or Stewart organization probably are ever really, I hate to say it, but taking advice from the fans when it comes to things like that. Do I think that the Steelers organization is trying to transition away from Ben because they know this is his last year? Yes. Do I think that they made a mistake? Yes. Do I think they realized they made the mistake? Yes. Do I think it's too late? Yes. Do I think the team can make the playoffs? Probably not. Do I think the team has talent? Yes. Do I think this team is wasting a ton of talent? Absolutely.
So what is the mistake you think that they realized they made?
Putting the handcuffs on Ben, trying to transition away from Ben a year when Ben's still there. I think that if you look at the stands, I'm not buying into any COVID nonsense. I think that it's starting to show a little bit in the stands. I think it's going to really start to show in the stands as the season goes on if it continues to be this crap fest. I've talked to people that still live in Pittsburgh, and it's dark days in Pittsburgh. I'm sure Perch can attest to that. I believe that the organization underestimated Ben Roethlisberger's value to this team in 2021.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, I mean, it's one thing to pay for your season tickets so you don't lose your season tickets, but for the, I'm not going to force myself to go through all the trouble to go to the stadium just to watch what this team is doing right now. I think FC maybe has a point. Like what, it doesn't feel like it really hurts them in their pocketbook though. So does that kind of, no shows at the stadium, do you think that really matters to the Roonies?
I mean, I think it matters just because they want people there, more than anything. I mean, part of, having the home field advantage is having the crowd there. If all of a sudden, that advantage vanishes, I could see that, being an issue. I mean, shoot, so I'm a guy who lives in Indiana. I have never been to Pittsburgh to watch a game in Heinz Field with Big Ben, and I thought about making a trip out there. Not so sure I'm going to do that this year anymore. I mean,
but now's your chance. You can pick up tickets on the street. I think
I probably
just
could, but
the sidewalk and in the parking lot, you can just pick one up on your way in.
Right. Big investment to go out there and do that. So
Perch, just before we move on and talk about this week's matchup, I heard something this week that last year, the home field advantage was way down, and people were speculating, well, it's because there were no crowds there, and that was a big part of what the home field advantage was about, blah, blah, blah. But the lack of home field advantage has actually continued onto this year. If I heard it correctly, the home teams are 2 games under 500 this year at home. Do you have any kind of a theory? I mean, you always have a theory, Perch, a thought. What's your theory for why home field advantage is disappearing?
I mean, last year was obviously empty stadiums and, just luck of the draw. I have to consider this year to be a statistical anomaly. I mean, that's my other scientific term you can look up, but there's no good reason for it because you think with all these fans all amped up and teams maybe not used to playing under adverse conditions and loud crowds and that sort of thing, it would flip back the other way. It just hasn't yet. Maybe the better teams are just the ones on the road more often than not. But I think by the end of the year, it probably goes back. The home team's got to start winning somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, that 2 games under 500 even includes the Raiders losing to the Chargers, even though the Raiders had like 80% of the fans in the stands. It's theoretically a road game for them. Anyway, maybe that's part of what's ruining home field advantage in the NFL is that you have the Chargers and the Rams both playing in LA. That could have something to do with it. Anyway, let's move on and talk about this week's matchup for your Pittsburgh Steelers against the Denver Broncos. The Broncos somehow are 3-1. Jeremy, I know that Teddy Bridgewater's played pretty well when he's been healthy this year. But is Denver's defense that good? Are they doing it with mirrors? How do you see the quality of this Denver team?
Well, I mean, I think they're very good at running the football. They're very good at stopping the run. But I also think you kind of have to take a look and see who they've played so far. They've played the Jets, the Jaguars, and the Giants. Not exactly football's best. They lost this past week to a Baltimore team that's pretty banged up. Yes, Baltimore's more talented than what they've had to face. Not taking anything away from them, but, last week was kind of their first true, we're playing a good football team test. They fell short.
Yeah, I mean, FC, in the trenches for this game, it seems like, Denver's edges are really where the strength of their football team is right now on defense. The Steelers have all kinds of different problems and inconsistency on their offensive line. But let's say this status quo. It's Joe Haig and rookie Dan Moore at left tackle. how do the Steelers mitigate the advantage that Denver would have on paper?
Well, first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to give Joe Hay or Tanner or Chuck help with Von Miller. Von Miller plays left outside linebacker / left defensive end. Shockingly, I would allow Dan Moore to sink or swim, especially early with Bradley Chubb. And my main concern is Kendrick Green. He has the only thing that he really has struggled with is in pass pro is anchoring against huge men. You can tell that he's fairly new to centering the football. I mean, it's an art to snap the ball and be able to defend yourself immediately. And he's getting better, but he's not great at it. So he'll get put on the proverbial roller skates at times. And the biggest thing is Kevin Dotson and Trace Hunter's level of play needs to improve dramatically. Both have been terrible. And a lot of Steeler Nation don't want to hear that. They just want to blame the rookies, blame the tackles. But the interior pressure is what's killing us. And the interior pressure is what is preventing Ben from stepping up into the pocket and making throws.
But just a quick follow-up, FC. It feels like that is true about the interior offensive protection, but it also feels like the tackles are not pushing, they're not bullying edge rushers who try to get the edge on them. They're not pushing them by and giving the quarterback a place to step up into. It feels like the tackles are getting sort of overrun right now with inside moves and with bull rushes. That to me is just as bad in a way as the quick interior pass rush. Am I got that right?
What teams are doing is line stunning, and Kevin Dotson especially is failing to pick up the entire interior line stunt. He's stepping down to help Kendrick Green, where Kendrick Green's pretty much uncovered, but they're attacking with two defenders out of the B gap. Dan Moore passes one off, gets the outside rusher, and Kevin Dotson standing there with a thumb in his tuchus. And that can't happen. That's communication between the offensive line. That's offensive line gelling. But that's something that got to be handled week one. And it's not. And that's an Adrian Clem problem. That's the new assistant offensive line coach from Atlanta that we brought in. That, oh boy, I don't even want to get into problem. And it's a coaching problem. Everything offensively that you're going to ask me, and you're going to hate to hear this, you got to blow up the offense completely. Fire everybody, bring in new blood. I would like to do that with the entire coaching staff, but we'll get into that later. I don't necessarily include Mike Kohlman in that, but I would give him the opportunity to completely rebuild his staff 100% his way with his guys. So if it fails, I can fire everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is Jim Caldwell available? Like, could you call him up and have him come in midway through the season on the bye week?
Jim Caldwell is a brilliant offensive mind that I think Tony Dungy's shadow way too long. But he's got to be 72, 73 years old. But still.
Yeah, just someone who has experience coming in mid-season. Perch, guess what? I'm coming around to you again to ask you a magic question. Denver's pretty good. Their defense seems to be really good, actually, at stopping the run. Steelers can't run very much. Denver also has a nice pass rush going, especially on the edges. Steelers have not pass protected all that well. It's been at least a little chaotic. So if you're Pittsburgh's offense and you can't start from scratch, you got to start with what you're working with. What do you at least try to do for incremental progress this week?
Well, I'd say the bad news would be the average NFL team averages 110 rushing yards a game, and the Steelers average 55. The really bad news is our left tackle got sacked into the quarterback last week, and now we have to block Von Miller and B2B favorite Malik Reed. FC Brad Chubb, I believe, is on IR.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah, Malik Reed is B2B State alumnus. Will be in the game there. How does this offense win? If you can't run block and you can't pass block, and your quarterback is old and is having accuracy issues because he's afraid of getting hit because he's getting hit too much, and your wide receivers aren't getting great separation, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. You can call what you want to call. You can, it's going to be a long season of 17 points a game.
I mean, Perch, follow-up question. They can throw it to the tight end a little bit, can't they? I mean, I feel like that's what you do to counter the defense trying to move up for the short passing game is you try to get the tight end over top.
You would think so, but then whenever your offensive coordinator is interviewed today, he's in love with this idea of having 3 tight ends who are 3 different types of tight ends that he can use in certain situations, i.e., if I'm going to block, I'm putting this guy in the game. If I'm going to pass, I'm putting that guy in the game. You could basically tell, you're telegraphing it, and they're not using the tight end. Most of the time the tight ends are they're into chip block because we can't block anybody with our offensive line. But you're right, though. I mean, we've got first and second round rookie at running back and tight end who should be much bigger parts of this offense, but they're not. And I don't think it's the quarterback's fault that their numbers aren't getting called. It's the offensive coordinator.
He seems to like those two, Jeremy, what about the health of the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers? Juju coming up, coming off of a rib injury that's still affecting him. Deontay Johnson with the knee injury that he's just coming back from. Chase Claypool missed last week, and now James Washington on the did not practice list with a groin injury. Who's going to suit up and put wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend?
Well, Chase has logged in 2 light practices on Wednesday and Thursday. James Washington got in a light practice today. Deontay Johnson's not on the injury report. Juju Smith-Schuster lightly practiced on Wednesday, full practice today. I think there's a good chance they could all be playing this weekend, actually. So might be nice to get the full accompaniment out there for a change.
Yeah, well, the bye week can't get here soon enough. FC, let's flip over to the other side of the ball. Pittsburgh's defensive front, not the defensive front we thought we would see from this team based on last year, starting the season, especially getting Alu back and expecting Tuitt there. What's the reality of what this defensive front is now, stopping the run in particular, because we think that's something that Denver is going to try to set out to do here?
Matters how many healthy bodies they have. Even out of the guys that I can't hear what it's going to play. It's Boyer. I think that I respect Cam Hayward more this year than I have in the past. I knew he was a good player. His competitiveness and his leadership and stuff like that really stand out to me in this 1-3 season. I like some Carlos Davis, but always seems to be Nick. Isaiah Bucks plays hard. You know what you're going to get from Mondo and Loudermilk. You just got to hope that they can win downs. Our 2 inside linebackers got to be a little bit better. I mean, we expect a lot from Devin Bush. And Joe Schobert, we expect the guy from 2014 Cleveland Browns. I think our expectations of Devin Bush coming from college, the transition to the NFL hasn't been as easy or as well as most Steelers fans hoped. And it looks like Joe Schobert lost a step. Urban Meyer's seen it early enough, got rid of him. Players got to make plays. Moulette made a play. Pierre plays, but he made a play. Mika Fitzpatrick got to make some plays. Rollins with a pick, but he has to make more plays. The offense is this bad. The defense has to make plays, or they're going to allow other teams to score those 3 touchdowns or 21 points. And I'd say Perch is right. The Steelers defense can't allow 21 points. If they allow 20, they're probably going to lose. If they allow 21, they're going to lose. That's horrible to say. The way the offense is going, 100% correct.
Yeah, until proven otherwise. Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying about the defense is they can't afford to just be solid. They have to be great in order to win.
Right? Carry the entire team.
So, Perch, one more injury to throw in the books, and that is Cam Sutton, who it appears not going to play on Sunday from what we know right now. Could change. But that just bumps everybody down, up a level. First of all, what does that mean for the Steelers' configurations? If James Pierre starting on the outside, Millette starting as the slot corner, but does that just mean more Trey Norwood?
Yeah, that's what I would think. I think that's your three guys, and Norwood somehow gets fixed in there somewhere too. But I mean, this is the side of the ball where the Steelers have a chance to dominate the game. I'll give you one more technical term you guys can go ahead and Google, but the Ravens defense is not the Ravens defense of old. And they absolutely donkey punched the Broncos last week. I mean, it was 5 or 6 sacks they had. Interception, completely annihilated it. Now, they were missing, 2 guards? Reisner and Glasnow were out for that game. Looks like they should be back this week. So maybe that evens things out a little bit. But, I mean, Denver beat probably the 3 worst teams in the league, the first 3 weeks of the year. Played one good team last week and they got physically manhandled up and down the field on with their offense. Bridgewater, I mean, he's got a concussion. He's got a long history of being frail and injured. Bobby Massey, I can't believe he's still in the league. I thought when he was in Arizona, he should have freaking retired then. Him versus TJ Watt should be a massive mismatch. So if the Steelers can do a good enough job of stopping the Denver running game on early downs, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to beat whoever the hell the quarterback in this game is. If it's Drew Lock, I mean, you could pretty much put a win in the Steelers column because he's horrible. Bridgewater, I think he's good enough he just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't turn it over. He's good enough to beat the Steelers by just getting through the game and managing the game and letting our offense shoot itself in the foot. So that's just kind of how I see it. I think that the Steelers defense could dominate this game if they get good enough play out of the front 3 of the defensive line and slow down the run game and get whoever the quarterback is for the Broncos into some long passing situations. I think we can wreak some havoc and force some turnovers.
I mean, I'll give you the last word, Jeremy. This Denver's tight end, I think might be a player or players that can give the Steelers trouble, especially if you're having to really sell out to stop the run. Feels like they might be more willing to throw to their tight end than the Steelers are.
Yeah, I mean, Fant has been a big, between the numbers guy. He's not a guy that's gotten a ton of touchdowns early in his career, but he's a chain mover. Definitely going to, represent a mismatch. If Alberto plays, he's going to be another mismatch. Even Jake Hausman, their third guy, not super fast, but, neither are our linebackers in coverage. So if I'm Denver, I'd be running the ball at us all game long and using the mismatches with their tight ends on us.
Yeah, by the way, I feel like Noah Fant is the player that we wish Eric Ebron was. You know what I mean? Like a little bit better blocker, but still capable of getting up the seam or whatever. That'd be a nice match with Freiermuth. So FC, you got anything else to add, or should we move on to our next illustrious segment, as we like to do?
Right. I agree with the boys. I mean, the key's going to be stopping their run. And I pray that Denver tries to come out and simply jam the ball down the Steelers' throats. I pray it happens, because that's a recipe for a low-scoring game, and momentum is a funny thing.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to switch it if you've been ball controlling the whole game and the other team gets a play. So, as we know from our years of being Steelers fans under Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin. With that, we'll get back to our predictions for the Steelers-Broncos game this weekend. And in the meantime, it's time for our illustrious pick segment, brought to us by
Chico's Bail Bonds and Jeremy's fucking show, Moving the Chains. And here's your plug, sir.
The Extra Point on KLAA Radio. You can catch us at 10:30 Eastern and 7:30 Pacific time on Sunday mornings.
Excellent. And I also wanted a special shout out this weekend to the football officials at the FCS level. I have seen some of the worst officiating from somebody that officiates for, like I've seen some incredibly bad stuff followed by terrible explanations or reviews of plays that were like completely misruled and whatever. And I sort of feel like, yes, we can knock these prospects who play in the FCS because they didn't play top competition, but we also have to give a hand to them for overcoming bad officiating, which cost them who knows what. But I think we're going to stick with the FBS maybe this time, unless you guys got any FBS action you want to talk about. I'm all for it. But I think it's maybe I got to throw to you, Perch. Your Penn State Nittany Lions, Nittany Lions playing Iowa at Iowa. It's one of the better games on the schedule this weekend. I assume you think Penn State is going to win, but tell us why.
It's going to be a tough one because for whatever reason, Penn State has not played well against Iowa. And I was actually leaning to think maybe I would pick Iowa in that game, but I just can't. I think I have way too much faith. Penn State's defense is really fucking good. If you guys haven't caught on by now, their secondary is tremendous. 2 good safeties, 2 good corners, a lot of athletes up front. It's just a really good defense. It's going to be a close game. I'm going Penn State. It's going to be low scoring. I'm going to say 23-20. It might be 20-17, 20-16, something like that. That's where I'm going. Partially a homer pick, but it's going to be a tough, hard-fought, close game.
Yeah, how about you, FC?
I am not a Penn State homer, but I've watched just about every Penn State game, and I've seen 80% of the Iowa games this year, and I will pick the Penn State Nittany Lions to win the game 24-17. Brisker might be the best strong safety in college football this season, and that's real high praise coming from a Georgia Bulldogs fan. He is a special talent because he really is football smart.
Copy that. It seems like he's a good player. Jeremy, you want to make it unanimous?
No, I don't. I think I was going to pull off that victory with that game being in Iowa. I was at the Iowa-Indiana game earlier this year. My Hoosiers got trounced there. It wasn't much of a game. That's a special environment. I think the crowd noise, and then Iowa's been able to get after quarterbacks this year and make them look bad. Clifford has not looked all that great, but the Penn State team as a whole has looked okay. I just think Iowa might be a little bit too tough of a test.
Yeah, FC, is there a better SEC game this week than Ole Miss and Arkansas, or is there something I'm missing?
I mean, that's the SEC matchup of the week. I mean,
it
feels Georgia, but I don't think so.
Yeah, well, it feels like, I don't know, Georgia annihilated Arkansas last week. So if you want to discount that, that's fine. But I'm not sure that Auburn's going to fare any better. But I don't know. I'll start. I feel like it will be a little bit of a letdown for Ole Miss. Obviously they're not playing Alabama this week, which helps. But I think it'll be a little bit of pride for Arkansas as well, because although I don't know that they have the horses to really make a run in the SEC, they have enough to win a game. And I'm not 100% sold on Ole Miss, as you guys may remember from the last week's conversation. I don't know. Jeremy, how do you see this?
I think Ole Miss wins this. I know you've got some questions about Matt Corral, but I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback at the next level. I'm going to go with a better quarterback here. I think Matt Corral in that offense, tough to pin down unless you're Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah.
How about you, FC? You didn't actually give us a pick.
I'll take Ole Miss -7. Ole Miss missing Mingo, broken ankle. Drummond to the broken ankle is a big loss for them. but they still Sanders. They got plenty of weapons. Jalen Ely out of the backfield is a future B2B State Titan, I believe.
Could be Titan. Basilisk. The B2B Basilisks. The Basilisks. I only know this because Perch named them. Perch, what do you feel like in this game?
I feel like saying that 5 of the top 11 teams in the nation are from the Big Ten. Aaron Donald just broke Russell Wilson's finger, and it's very nasty on his throwing hand. And I'm just going to take the favorite in this game and go with the rest of the crew
and let it ride. Okay. So one last just quick question before we move on to the NFL. Who is the best draft eligible quarterback in the draft right now? You get one name, and furthermore, you can't repeat a name that somebody said before you. I'll give you the first one, Jeremy.
I'm going Matt Corral. He was my number one to begin the year. He's still my number one.
Okay, now I'll give you my comp for the player you picked. My comp is Johnny Manziel, but with a life coach and better decision making. That's my comp for Mike Corral. FC loves Matt Corral, so you took it away from him. FC, who's your guy?
Carson Strong.
Carson Strong. I think we've seen him. His name is Mason Rudolph. Perch, who's the best quarterback left that isn't Carson Strong or Matt Corral?
They all suck, and I hate them all. All I can tell you with this whole subject is every week I try and bounce around and watch another one, and whatever one I watch that week fails miserably. So I'm not giving you anybody because I hate them all.
He's too small to play for my team, I think, because I can't imagine the Steelers going to a guy that's under
Eric
6 feet.
Berre.
Yeah, Eric Berre from Eastern Washington right now is the best quarterback. He might be the best player in football right now, but he is a joy to watch. So I don't know if he's the guy for everybody. Yeah, he would be the guy I would say right now, since everybody else is taken. I don't know. Desmond Ridder, maybe has more NFL potential because of his size, but anyway, I only got to pick one.
It was Logan Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily unsee that. I feel like, my comp for him was Byron Leftwich because of the sort of hitch in his forward motion.
Arkansas, by the way, right? And why he has no chance of ever playing in the NFL, right? He was seen cheering against Arkansas whenever he was benched and suspended in the stands. He was cheering against Arkansas. So that's basically, it came out that he didn't leave. He was asked to leave, and he couldn't get another Division I program to even consider taking him on after that. And the article is the most toxic player in football, and it was actually about him.
Wait, I'm sorry, about who?
The tugboat from southeastern Louisiana.
Oh, Cole Kelly. Cole Kelly can play, and I think he's maybe a bit more mature than he was at Arkansas, but he's going to be 25. I mean, that's not a formula for success, unfortunately. Nice guy to, bring in as a late round pick or whatever as a backup, because I think he could, come in and be your Don Strock, for those of you old enough to remember. Since most of you are not old enough to remember, let's talk about a couple of NFL matchups real quick. I'll tell you, the Cleveland Chargers game is a really interesting one to see what these teams are really made of. I think it's a hard game to pick. I'll start with you, FC.
I like the Chargers. I do not, even despite beating Minnesota 14-7, Kirk Cousins is a coward. I like the Chargers.
Yeah, how about you, Perch?
Easiest game on the schedule all week. I like the Chargers.
Interesting, yeah. How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers looked really good the other night. I think it was against the Rams the other night on Monday Night Football. Can't remember. But I thought Justin Herbert looked good. I thought that offense it moves so well down the field as to where, if Cleveland can't run the ball, they're in trouble. And Chargers defense looked very good again. Oh, sorry, they played the Raiders the other night. I was thinking the other LA team that played.
The Las Vegas LA team.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, they were able to stop the run there. I think they just have a better overall team that's more explosive. It can do more. That's the team I'm picking.
Yeah, I actually think the reason I thought it would it's a little bit of a tough game to pick is if Cleveland can run it against the Chargers, it definitely makes for a game that could go either way. The thing I'm concerned about here, you got a rookie who's a good rookie, Rashawn Slater, who's going to see a lot of Myles Garrett. And that is a matchup that, I'm not sure you can win with Justin Herbert sitting planted in the pocket. I think you're going to have to move him, which they do a good bit. I like their coaching, and I know their approach to this is they figure out ways to protect him. But he's picked up his play. I will take the Chargers, but in a very close game. I don't think this is a blowout. What about this Buffalo-Kansas City game? So Buffalo's at Kansas City. Buffalo is a little bit like the Broncos in that they have beaten some teams they're supposed to beat, but they really shellacked them. So they did win big against bad teams. Lost to the Steelers in a sort of a mystery game. I'll start with you, Jeremy. Do you think Kansas City's defense can hang on against Buffalo's offense enough to be able to win this game?
Yeah, I mean, the two most people talked about this in this game are, Mahomes versus Allen. I think the Chiefs' offense is starting to really round into form. As long as Kansas City's defense does just enough, I feel like Kansas City will come out on top in that game.
How about you, Perch?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think that's such a huge game for Kansas City. Is you can't go basically 2.5 games behind the Bills and the AFC standings and lose a home game there. With the way they lost that game to Baltimore, and they've had a slow start to the year. You got to think that they're starting to, on offense, they're starting to gel. The defense can't be that bad all year. You think that they've got to kind of pick it up. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. The line is so small. I think the Chiefs win by 6 points and win and cover.
Yeah, I mean, really, for all the reasons you just said, Perch, I would love to pick Kansas City in this game. But I think Kansas City's defense is so bad. The only thing really keeping me from being a believer in Buffalo is that their offense has been really meh this year. They haven't really done anything compared to what they did last year on offense. But I feel like Kansas City is not equipped to stop a team like Buffalo that can do some different things. It's not like you stop this one thing and you shut Buffalo down. So I feel like that's a real challenge for Kansas City's defense, and the Buffalo's defense is just good enough to slow down Kansas City. They won't, of course, shut them down. But I feel like Buffalo is going to win this game. One last one very quickly. That would be. I'm sorry, FC. Tell me, you got your shot. You just want to go. You just want to go against me, really.
Kansas City's offense is built to absolutely dominate and destroy defenses like the Buffalo Bills. I think that the Bills are going to come in figuring that they're going to take away Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce might go for 203 this week. So I'll take the Chiefs. I think the Bills are going to have to kick a field goal or two. When they're kicking field goals, Chiefs are going to be scoring touchdowns. So I actually love it.
Yeah, it could be. I'm more going with a gut feel rather than the logic, because the logic says we. So FC, last one I'll give to you. This is sort of a thinker, not necessarily a big chance for the underdog, but Cincinnati hosting Green Bay. I'll start. Green Bay, for whatever reason, will try to run the ball a lot on first and second down. That's been the MO the last 2 years, as you saw in the game with the Steelers. That it kind of feels like they waste downs sometimes with this, because I don't think they run it well enough to really, gouge teams and then hit them hard with a counterpunch with passing the football. And I think the one thing about Cincinnati, I was really impressed with their defensive front, especially the interior. And granted, when I saw them with the Steelers, maybe it's just the Steelers, offensive front is not, very good competition. But I felt like similar to the way I felt about the Steelers' defensive front at the beginning of last year, in terms of their ability to really just stop the run game. And I don't see Green Bay being flexible enough to come out with a game plan that says, all right, we know that you're solid against the run, so we're not going to even attempt to like play our usual football game. So I think this game could be pretty close. It's only a 3-point game, so I'm not sure that Cincinnati will cover that, but I think it might be very close to a 3-point game with Green Bay winning. So I'll take the push maybe in this game with the Cincinnati and 3 points. How about you, Jeremy?
Well, I think Green Bay is going to blow them out, actually. I think Green Bay offense is starting to get really hot. And if you watch that game that Cincinnati played against Jacksonville, they ran all over that Cincinnati defense. And that is not one of the better offensive lines in the league. I think if Green Bay can be balanced and kind of like you said, maybe not waste some downs there and just go for the throat early, I think it could be out of hand before halftime.
Perch, how about you?
I disagree with everybody. I don't think it'll be super close. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think that, Cincinnati's got enough talent now where they can hang in games with most teams, but Green Bay's just got too much. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw it. I mean, they're not that married to the run game. I'm not quite sure what you're seeing that I'm not. That they're, I think, only a handful of spots higher than the Steelers and rushing yards a game and attempts and all that. So Green Bay's too good, especially on the offensive side. They'll pull away. I say Green Bay wins the game by 10 points.
FC, how do you see it?
You're gonna love this, baby. I'm actually with you. I think a healthy T. Higgins, Chase. I like what I've seen from Joe Burrow. The line's actually up to 4 points. I actually know that because I actually took the Bengals in 4.
Nice.
I buy into DJ Reader and Ogunjobi in the middle. I'm not a very big fan of LaFleur to coach the Packers. So I won't be surprised to see the Bengals win, walk-off field goal. But I could see the Bengals winning this game.
Didn't the Packers picked up Jalen Smith? Did they not? I think he might play this weekend for them.
Maybe.
They're going to need something because, Montez Scaling looks like he might be out again. And same thing with Alan Lazard. And Robert Tonyan is playing, but he is just not healthy.
Yeah, you can tell last week against the Steelers did not look 100%. Well, gents, that's our Around the League pick segment. And be sure to listen to 8:30 a.m. at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, East Coast time.
Right.
At 10:30 11:30 in Denver. What are the call letters?
KLAA radio.
KLAA.
Yeah.
KLAA. Okay, great. Super. Let's unfortunately talk about this week's 5-star matchup. That's your Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Denver Broncos. Maybe there'll be a breath of fresh air, and then maybe again there'll be Perch picking first.
Well, since I'm going first, I'll bring some sunshine here. If the Steelers can win this game, they will be hosting the Seahawks, and Russell Wilson just broke a finger, and that offense looks like shit. So it's possible we could pull our way back to 3-3. But since I live in reality, Teddy Bridgewater's going to play. He's not going to give up the ball, not going to have turnovers. The Steelers' offense is going to be stuck in the mud. Our defensive line's not deep enough. Steelers will lose 20-16.
Oh, for a second, I thought you were going to pick the Steelers there. Jeremy, how about you?
I'm kind of in the same mindset. Until we see this offense, stop shooting itself in the foot and the handcuffs are off Ben, I think Denver's going to be able to run the ball. They're going to lose a close one. I'll go, 20-14, Denver.
Yeah, how about you, FC?
23-19 Steelers. I'm not picking against one of fucking Steelers podcasts. I have no idea. I think both these teams are flawed. I think it's a shame that Cortland Sutton, as great as he is, really has been talking about on this podcast. If TJ Watt is close to healthy, superstars can win a game. Cam Hayward, I'm not ready to give up on the season yet. So I'll go 23-19 Steelers.
Yeah, I feel like this is not a solid enough Denver team to play a desperate Steelers team with starting to get a little healthier. I just feel like it's not a good matchup for Denver right now. But I still don't have confidence in the Steelers offense. I 100% agree with Jeremy. I said it 2 weeks ago. Until the Steelers offense shows me something, or the Steelers coaching shows me something to make me believe, I'm not going to believe they're really going to get it done. But I think 16-13 Steelers might do it this week. A low-scoring affair that sets back normal NFL shit by at least 25 or 30 years. On that note, time for the last word, gentlemen. Jeremy, I'll get one to you.
Juju, you act like you're this number one receiver. You got to start playing like it. You got to start playing like it. If you want that big payday somewhere, man, you got to show up and make plays. That's it.
Oh, the pep talk. Perch, how about you? Sunshine?
Yeah, Juju, you bastard. I swear he slowed up on that first pass that was going to the end zone. I don't know if he tripped or he stumbled, or if he just usually when you're running downfield, you have your head over your shoulder. His whole chest was looking back, waiting on the ball, and slowed himself up. That one was, I think, more on him than on Ben. The other one was on Ben. Ben just had a bad pass. That's just my 2 cents on Juju. But, we've got the personality of our wide receivers that care more about TikTok and off the field stuff. I mean, that's just this Gen Z bullshit that I can't relate to. I'm a grumpy old man. So that's all. A grumpy old man. I've got 13 podcasts left in my career before I retire. And that's that.
Listen, man, you got a good head start on curmudgeondom, but you have to really work on this podcast to really get up to the level that FC and I give you every week. In curmudgeondom, all I'll say about that Juju play is, in fairness, when you never get the ball in the deep middle of the field or the deep intermediate of the field, you just don't expect the ball to come. I think when you're an NFL receiver and it's like you never get targeted, and then suddenly there's a ball there, and it's like, oh shit, I should have gone for that. So I think you can at least give an assist to the coaches for so infrequently calling these kinds of plays and getting these kinds of throws to available for people, that it does get a little bit like, oh my God, there was a throw. I was half asleep. So anyway, those of you who are going to watch the game on Sunday, I don't encourage you to be half asleep, but it may make the game easier to watch. Also, liquor helps. On that note, Jeremy Kohlman from the Extra Point, SteelPerch, FC, Dom down there in South Carolina, everyone at SteelerFury.com, and those of you listening, hey, hit the like button on Facebook if you like it. Don't forget you can hear our podcast in the audio format at Spreaker, at Apple Podcasts, at Google Chrome Podcasts, or whatever the hell it's called. And in the meantime, we will come back next week and talk to you after a gigantic Steelers victory. My name is Wil Masisak, also known as Bradshaw to Ben, and Accidental Zen on Twitter, saying, go get them, Steelers.
Here we go.
Steeler Fury.